Hi, good afternoon. My name is Bhumisha, and today I'll be presenting my Module 2 Article Analysis for IT 6001 IT Governance and Management. The article I selected is titled Compliance Trends of 2025. So, this article is directly relevant to our module topics covering IT governance, data governance, cybersecurity, regulatory compliance, and digital privacy, all from a current real world perspective. So, I will summarize the article's key findings and then connect them to the frameworks and concepts which will be explored in Module 2. So, moving on to the first slide, the article was published by Encryption Consulting, a cybersecurity advisory firm, and provides a comprehensive overview of the regulatory and compliance landscape in 2025. So, the author argues that the compliance was evolved from a reactive checkbox exercise into a core strategic priority that underpins the organizational reliance, investors' trust, and consumer confidence. So, the article covers six major areas like global privacy law evolution, SEC cybersecurity disclose rules, CIA, critical infrastructure reporting mandates, supply chain, and the third party risk compliance, AI governance regulations, and zero trust and identity access management frameworks. You can also access the full article at the link shown on the slide here down. The first major findings concerns that SEC's landmark cybersecurity disclosure rule, which phased into the full effect in 2024. As the static on the left shows, 95% of the S&P 500 boards now have a designated cybersecurity oversight committee, up from roughly 85% in 2021. This dramatic shift was driven directly by the SEC's governance mandate. So, under the rule, publicly trade companies must file a 8K report within 4 business days of determining a cybersecurity incident is material. The only permitted delays is if the US Attorney General certifies that the disclosure would pose a national security risk. So the companies are also now required to include annual disclosures in their 10K reports describing their cyber risk management programs, governance structures, and board oversight mechanism. Moving forward, the second key finding covers the Cyber Incident Reporting for Critical Infrastructure Act, known as CIRCIA, enacted in 2022 with implementing regulations taking effect by October 2025. CIRCIA applies to organizations in critical infrastructure sectors including energy, healthcare, financial services, transportation, IT, and communications, as shown on the left side of this slide. So, the reporting deadlines are very strict. Organizations must report significant cyber incidents to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency within 72 hours, and ransomware payments must be reported within just 24 hours. This creates substantial new compliance burdens for these industries but also advances a national cyber defense posture by giving CISA a real time visibility into the threat activity across the critical sectors. The third finding highlights the growing regulatory emphasis on supply chain security and the third party risk management. The NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0, released in 2024, added a new govern function that explicitly integrates supply chain management as a core governance requirement but not as the optional add on. In Europe, the Digital Operation Reliance Act, or also known as DORA, requires financial institutions to contractually bind their ICT third party providers to strict security standards and resilience testing. The article's key message here in that IT governance cannot stop at the enterprise perimeter. Every vendor, cloud provider, and the partner that touches your data or system is a part of compliance profile already. So the best practice now includes continuous third party monitoring, formal vendor risk assessments, and contractual security requirements embedded into the procurement process. The fourth finding addresses what may be the fastest growing compliance frontier: artificial intelligence governance. The EUI Act, formally adopted in 2024, establishes a tiered compliance framework based on the risk level of AI systems. High risk systems, such as those used in hiring, credit scoring, or law enforcement, face strict requirements around transparency, human oversight, bias testing, and technical documentations. In the US, executive orders and agency guidance are pushing federal contractors and regulated industries toward the AI accountability standards, which includes the model documentations and the bias audits. A particularly forward looking aspect of the article is its discussion of compliance automation. Organizations are increasingly using the AI assisted tools to monitor the regulatory changes, flags compliance gap, and generate the audit ready documentation in the real time situation. The author concludes that the organizations that integrate compliance automation will have a structural advantage as the volume and complexity of regulatory obligation continue to grow. This slide synthesizes how each key finding from the article connects to the theoretical framework we studied in Module 2. Starting with AI governance, the SEC's board level accountability mandate is a real world enforcement of COBIT's 5 principle that cybersecurity decisions must align with enterprise risk tolerance and be governed at the highest organizational level. On regulatory compliance, the branch notification timelines under both the SEC rule and the CIR CIA reflect the module's principle that data governance is a legal and fiduciary responsibility, not merely an operational preference. For Zero Trust Architecture, the US Office of Management and Business Memorandum M 2209, which mandates zero trust for federal agencies, is a direct regulatory instantiation of a IAM and access control framework discussed in the module. Finally, on the third party governance, NIST CASF 2.0 and DORA validate the module's argument that robust governance framework must treat the vendor ecosystem as the extension of enterprise, with the same rigor applied to the internal systems. So, to conclude, the article Compliance Trends of 2025 demonstrate that the compliance landscape has fundamentally shifted a lot. What was once a back office legal function is now a core pillar of organizational strategy. Four takeaways stand out. First, compliance is a strategic priority. It underpins resilience and trust. Second, AI governance is now enforceable law, not just best practice. Third, board level accountability is mandatory under the SEC and CIR CIA's framework. Fourth, third party risk must be treated as an extension of your own governance program. As IT governance professionals, understanding these trends is essential. The organizational the organizations that will thrive are those that move from reactive compliance to proactive integrated governance. Thank you for your time. Happy to take any questions.